Well, good morning, Americans. How are you? Don't you know me? I'm your native son. It's the Boston Cowboy here, casting out my rays of light from beautiful New England. And today we have Miss Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democratic from New York, and she's a firebrand for sure. And she's speaking here on two reporters on Capitol Hill about the shooting death of a Charlie Kirk, which just occurred at the point of this interview. And before we get into it, let's do a little recap on Miss Ocasio Cortez. She was born October 13th, 1989, and she's also known as AOC, and she's an American politician and activist who has served since 2019 as a U.S. representative for New York's 14th Congressional District. She is a member of the Democratic Party and the New York City chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. Okay, what's the Democratic Socialists of America? I don't know. But let's take a look. The Democratic Socialists of America, or DSA, is a socialist political organization in the United States and the largest such organization in U.S. history, with more than 120,000 members of July 2026. It is a big tent on the left wing of the political spectrum. It is primarily organized around the principles of democratic socialism, with the members active in electoral politics, labor organizing, and direct action campaigns. DSA, which is not a political party with its own ballot line, has a decentralized structure in which local chapters and ideological caucuses have significant autonomy. The organization's largest chapters include those in New York City, where it is headquarters, LA, and the Washington metropolitan area. The DSA was founded in 82 from a merger from the Democratic Socialist Organizing Committee and the New American Movement. Okay, so that's the gist. And one thing did catch my eye. It said it is primarily organized around the principles of democratic socialism. Okay, so what exactly is a democratic socialism? So, democratic socialism is a set of left wing political philosophies that supports political democracy and some form of socially owned economy, with a particular emphasis on economic democracy, workplace democracy, and worker self management within a market socialist, decentralized planned, or democratic, centrally planned socialist economy. Yeah, that's definitely a mouthful. All them words there together. Uh, Democratic socialists argue that capitalism is inherently incompatible with the values of freedom, equality, and solidarity, and that these ideals can only be achieved through the realization of a socialist society. Although most democratic socialists seek a gradual transition to socialism, democratic socialism can support revolutionary or reformist politics to establish socialism. Huh, interesting. Democratic socialism was popularized by socialists who opposed the backsliding towards a one-party state in the Soviet Union and other nations during the 20th century. Okay, so democratic socialism, we know, primarily comes from European uh, during the mid 20th century there, and the Soviet Union, and it definitely has an interesting uh, birth, and one would think that the workers and unions and whatnot would be 100% for democratic socialism, because I mean it says that it's a political philosophy that supports political democracy in some form of socially owned economy, with a particular emphasis on economic democracy, workplace democracy, and worker self management, right? That does not say anything about the government, period, right? And I agree that the government should not be involved in anything when it comes to workers, uh, the trade unions, and how work and corporations fashion themselves. You can have a corporation that is under a CEO and a president, and it's basically a dictatorship. You know, most corporations are. Or you can build a corporation that is employee owned, and it operates as a democratic socialist workplace where all the workers have a say. They basically can vote on who is their quote unquote leader and leads the workplace. And if they do a bad job and they don't bring in the profits and whatnot, then they can vote them out, period. Um, and they should understand that they're there to do a specific job, not enrich themselves, but enrich the corporation and its shareholders, which are the employees. And so that is the gist. And you would figure in this country that most people, most workers, pretty much all workers would support some form of, well, I'm going to go work at Google, right? And instead of, three people making, $10 billion each per year, they're going to divvy out that whole $10 billion because we're all building this here company. And we're all responsible for the workings of this company and corporation, and therefore we should all be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor equally. But in this country, which labels itself as a democracy, you spend most of your time in a system that is anything but a democracy. You go to work at a corporation and it's basically a dictatorship or a royalty, the royalty of the CEO and the leadership team, and they bless the plebeians, so to speak, or the proletariat with, okay, every now and then we'll give you, maybe we'll give you a little bonus at the end of the year, and we'll open up stock buying purchase for 3 weeks a year where you can purchase some stock, and then anyways, yeah, that and it's like they're doing us a favor for letting us work there and whatnot. So you would figure most workers would in this country support democratic socialism, period. I know the labels that come with that, and people get it confused. And when it comes to the government, they don't want that, period, right? They want to keep it the way it is because they can't let people get an idea that they have a little bit of power in the workplace, and then they maybe take it home and they have a little bit of power there, and then maybe they go to the voting booth and they realize, well, hey, we got some power here too. So, but anyways, let's get into what Miss Ocasio-Cortez here has to say. And remember, she's speaking on, and she's a Democrat through and through, from New York City, and she's a young, very young, outspoken activist, Spanish woman, and she comes from a Spanish upbringing. And let's see what you got to say here about the old Charlie Kirk murder, and we'll take it from there.
Living in a time of extraordinary and growing political violence in the United States. I mean, we were on the steps here on January 6th when a mob attacked this Capitol just a couple of months ago. A Democratic lawmaker was assassinated in her own home. Yesterday, Charlie Kirk assassinated in broad daylight in front of thousands of people. It really, at this point, is not about like the political strife. This is about the emergence and uncorking of violence that we're talking about, and it is absolutely gotten to a point that is where we need to really look towards our leaders to lower the temperature and also lead by, I believe, in my view, ensuring that we have gun safety and laws against violence in the workplace.
Congressman, yesterday
you were a
the
very
president.
high-profile member of Capitol Hill.
Pardon?
Do you feel safe on Capitol Hill? In your district?
From the moment I was elected, I have felt that I accept a certain level of risk in doing this job and in continuing to do this job. This should not be a level of risk for anyone, not for me or anybody, any American. No American should feel like they are taking a risk sending their kid to school. No American should feel like they are at risk going to a music festival, going to a synagogue, going to a church, or showing up to work. And I think that I feel the way I think many Americans feel.
Congressman, yesterday the president, in his speech, he was very critical of left-wing violence. What do you think of that message, and do you agree with them that left-wing violence is a problem?
I believe that we need to be very clear about the facts on the ground. There was a horrific political assassination or shooting yesterday in which a young man died. The FBI has not caught the assailant. The FBI and the individual responsible has not been apprehended. There is no understanding, as we know publicly, of who this individual is, what their motivations were, where they came from, and for any politician, whether it's a pundit on television, which I saw on Fox News and it was extremely disturbing, using rhetoric of vengeance and violence, whether it is a member of Congress, whether it is the President of the United States, to assume and assert and cast blame when the FBI has failed to even apprehend the assailant is absolutely an irresponsible action. We must come together. Our responsibility is to de-escalate this environment, to reduce the level of chaos that is at risk right now in this country, so that we can, first and foremost, increase the level of safety that people can feel in this country. And then we can move forward together.
Do you think
So here's Miss Ocasio-Cortez's argument is that we at this point don't know who had shot the old Charlie Kirk there. And she actually said something very interesting. She automatically referred to it as an assassination of a Charlie Kirk. And like she said, at this point, we don't know the facts. We don't know who was behind it. The FBI hasn't caught anybody. We don't know their political leanings. We don't know if it was a group, a single person, woman, man, old, young. We don't know. Right? So she calling it an assassination. And then she go on to tie it to gun safety and gun laws. And so she's got that leaning going on here. And so what I find very funny is whenever there is a gun violence, which happens every day in this here country, right? Every day. They could basically come on TV every day and talk about gun violence. In Chicago, the drill rap scene, in Orlando, in Georgia, and Tennessee. It's all over the gun violence. It's unprecedented, just about. And then they film it and put it on the social media, so they could be up here every day talking about reining in the guns and gun safety, but they don't. They don't. They only use it when it's a hot button issue, and they use it to a certain emotional triggers to get you invested in whatever side you. It's basically a reminder. Oh yeah, we have this hot button issue called gun safety, and we got some crazy people running around with guns, and they're gonna shoot everybody. So don't forget about that. And here's an emotional trigger. So if you're for guns, then you're gonna hate me. But if you against guns, you're gonna love me, depending on what side you're on. So it's a never-ending cycle of an emotional trigger, and they know this. They know it's an emotional trigger, and it keeps perpetuating. Sort of like racism perpetuates racism, right? Gun violence and talking about gun safety and gun laws, it almost perpetuates the violence. And then she's going on to speak about political violence, and we need to tone down the rhetoric. We need to make sure that this country is coming together properly. See, now here's Mrs. Ocasio-Cortez's big mistake. See, she's coming from that in a logical standpoint. And logically, that makes sense, right? The violence is getting to a fever pitch, and everybody is so divided, and we need to come together on it, right? That's a logical outlook on that. So she's flipping from emotion and gun violence to a logic, and logic has no place in a politics, and that's her big mistake. And we seen that. Once upon a time it did, right? You see, once upon a time logic made a lot of sense when it come to politics. But then there was this man that come along, and he threw logic right out that window. Right out that window. Right? And he, in essence, became the comedian of the United States, right? He was like the comedian from that comic there, The Watchmen, called The Comedian. And he was a funny guy, made a lot of people laugh. Didn't matter what he said, as long as it was funny, and he came up with a pretty witty, snappy name to call his opponents. And that's the gist now. Politics in this country have become basically an entertainment sideshow, right? Unless you're affected by it, like those sailors out there in that middle of that Gulf. But she's making too much sense. She's using too much logic here. Right? People get turned off when it comes to that. She need to and this is the problem with the Democrats, people, I think. The Democrats, number one, they need to figure out that their little messaging and their take on this whole experiment we got going is not working, right? They are too far left as far as I'm concerned. They need. Why can't the Democrats come out and say we are for the army, right? We are for religion. We are for the families staying together. We're not for divorce, right? I I mean, God forbid a Democrat came out and said, I don't believe in abortion, right? Like, think of that. Think of that. Would there ever be a Democrat that will come out and say, hey, I don't think abortion is right, or abortion past, 22 weeks is right? Like this whole thing they did here in Massachusetts that's saying you basically can abort or terminate your pregnancy right up until the day and moment of birth, which opens up a whole can of worms. Because what exactly is the birth? Is a foot coming out considered a birth? Is a hand or a leg coming out considered a birth? You know what I mean? And what point does the baby then become its own entity, separate from the mama, that it now cannot be terminated? And they don't call it really abortion. They call, well, I want to terminate my pregnancy. It's my pregnancy, and I want to terminate it. You know, I'm going to terminate this here pregnancy. Let's shut it off. I don't want it no more. We're going to, they're talking about it like it's a launch, right? Like, we're going to terminate this here launch countdown because we ran into an issue. Okay. Well, I'm going to terminate this here pregnancy because, there's an issue and I just don't want to deal with it. When reality, slaps me in the face in a couple months, and I realize that this here little boy or little girl that's going to come out is going to be not a normal little boy or little girl, and I just don't want to deal with that. So let's terminate that. I know there's laws and restrictions around it that they say you can only do it in such and such, but still, that is like, God forbid, a Democrat stood on principles and said, I'm a Democrat, right? I'm not a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I do not believe in abortion, right? I support the military, 100%. I support gun rights, 100%. Basically, everything that makes sense on the Republican side of the ticket, but in name, they call themselves a Democrat, right? Because they just cannot lean into the corruption and greed that they see going on the Republican side of the ticket, right? So they figured that, hey, I'm more of a conservative Democrat, middle of the road. If anything, I go to church every week. I believe in a higher power. I believe in smaller government, not bigger government. But I don't believe in the corruption that's going on around now. I do not believe in these forever wars that every single war we've gotten into has been under Republican. You ever notice that? I certainly have. Every war we have begun has been under Republican nominated president, right? Even though they say they want to end these forever wars. And war is bad. War isn't anything we want to send our kids out to. We want to end all these wars. But then they get voted in, and that all goes out the window, so to speak. And, well, golly gee, we need a war right about now. Well, why? Well, we just don't like that other country because they won't do business the way we want them to do business. So we're going to go to war with them. But we can't tell the American people that. So we got to come up with some snippy, snappy slogan. War on terror, right? The war on, I don't know, people. The war on oil, the war on drugs, the war on immigration, right? The war on breathing. You're alive and you woke up this morning and you're breathing. Well, there's going to be a war on you, right? The war on the Middle East, the war on the Gaza, the war on oil, right? Because you got the oil and we want that oil, so it's a war on oil. War on every damn thing that I can think of that maybe we can use to go to war. Right? And every single time we're going to war, it's been under a Republican. Right? So I just don't see why Democrats don't wrap up this whole ball game and say, look, man, enough. We done the whole, open up the borders fully, right? Open up them borders, let whoever want to come across, as long as they got a voting ticket, and they vote for us, then you come on in. Let's go. Bring your brothers, bring your sisters, your cousins, your friends, your relatives. Come on. Try and make it. If you don't, you don't. Ooh, well, but if you do, you do. Let's go. Well, I don't see Democrats are so far out of touch lately that they're just, and here's the thing, they're not even trying. They're not even coming up with it. It is so bad on the Democrat. They got nobody, right? AOC, not really. People ain't gonna really vote for her. That Newsom fella, if he lucky if he stay out of jail at this point. I don't think he gonna get away with the DOJ the way it's stacked right now. I think he's about done. Bernie, he's getting too. Who do they have? Who do the Democrats have right now? They got nobody. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have any type of unity. None. They got nobody to rally around. Nothing. Right? They're looking, scraping, scrounging. And they're just hoping that, the president right now, he mess up so bad and so horrible that it forces people to vote for them. That's their strategy right now. Do you believe that? That is their strategy. Their strategy is hoping and praying that the guy that got up in there now is going to mess it up so horribly for this country. Everybody's just going to run to them. Don't matter who it is. Don't matter who they throw up there. They're just going to say, yeah, get us somebody new. We got to get out. That's their strategy. And that's a losing strategy because they got nothing to stand behind. They got nothing, right? They got what? What do they got? They got that guy in New York there. They're going to figure something out about him, that he's a crooked or he's a corrupted and funneling money out or whatever. I don't know. He wanted to defund the police and do away with and tax the wealthy. Well, for what? Tax the wealthy so he can give it to the poor, play like a Robin Hood. He don't want to help the police up there. He don't want to give the police anything they need. So they're just going to sit back and say, hey, we're going to let this town, this city go to hell. And it's going to show everybody you can't mess with else like that. It's going to get bad in New York with this guy. Trust me. Trust me. I mean, the police, all they got to do is just sit back and say, hey, we're too busy to go out and, fight crime under this system because we do a good job and he's just going to take away our funding, then what's in it for us, right? So the firemen the same way, and they're all leaning towards, a Donnie T right now anyway. So, hey, it's a done deal as far as I'm concerned. He could run for a third term and probably get it because there's nobody, it is nobody right now that is gonna contend with him in the ring, so to speak, on the Democratic side. Nobody, right? They don't have his chutzpah, his balls, his koyangas, his fire in his belly. They don't have that. right? Hell, I don't even know if half the Democrats believe in what they say they believe in. That's how bad it is, man, over there, right? I mean, geez, come on. Like, therefore, killing a baby up until the date of birth, like, that's some crazy ass shit. Yeah, they want to take away Americans' guns, That's some crazy ass shit right there. They want to, open up the borders and just say, hey, come on in. No checks, no balances there. No legal way to get in and out. Just come on in. Everybody, come on in. Like they got nothing they believe, nothing they believe in. They want to legalize all drugs. Like, look what's going on down in Kensington and Philly, right? Look what's going on in your inner cities with this here. We had the opiate epidemic in the mid 2000s. Now we got this fentanyl, xylazine epidemic going on, and it's bad, people. It's really bad out there. And I don't think there's really any treatment for it. That's how bad and powerful this stuff is. It basically hollowed the person out from the inside, And what's left is just an automaton that's looking for anything to get that little bit of chemical in them, And it's so bad, so bad. There's no coming back from that, I believe. I really don't. It's and they want to bring it, they want to legal. They say, well, we're gonna have a little experiment where we're just not gonna arrest these people. Just let them do what they want. Let them go what they want. Look at San Francisco, how bad that got there. No criminology of a drug user, a drug pusher, a drug taker, a drug seller. Like, hey, you want to do it, you do it. It's up to you. Your life, right? Look how that's turning out right now. And that's the thing. These other countries, they see that, so they're going to flood our system with any old poison they can send up in here and just, hey, let them take themselves out. That's the way they see it, And, yeah, the Democrats need something they need to stand on. They need somebody that's a little bit more centered, right? Not so far left that they want to change the whole system from democracy to socialism or communism. You know what I mean? And they need someone more centered. A centralist Democrat, right? That believe in the military, that don't come from wealth, that's American, probably that served in the military, right? A Democrat that served in the military, that grew up in America in the 80s, 70s, 80s, right? Knows what it's like before computers, knows what it was like before the internet. Been a working person that worked all their life, didn't come from money, didn't inherit no money, didn't go to no Ivy League college, didn't rub elbows with, the Kennedys and the Obamas and the Clintons and what have you. Just an old red-blooded American is working for a living since he been about 12, having a paper route for his first job. Grew up on an Atari, grew up on a Nintendo. I watched Mr. Rogers and Mr. Sesame Street. Like, why can't they find someone like that? Why can't they find someone that, like, actually, has some rapport with the American public, right? Not some weirdo or some immigrant that's trying to change the whole system, right? And then behind the scenes is corruption going on, like up there in Minnesota, right? Oh yeah, we're Democrats. We're for the people. We're gonna set up this here system where we're just gonna funnel money through and pretend like we're doing good for the public schools and the public, you know. But it's like a 50-50 split. Like you get 50%, I get 50%. You know, my friend get 50%. This one get 50%. You know, and it's like, what? They're all corrupted. A non-corruptible, someone that believe in religion, someone that go to church, someone that pray to a God, right? Not no atheist. Someone that believe in a family, right? Did I say someone that serve in the military? Why they serve in the military? Well, because they couldn't afford college, and the military helped pay for that college and pay for education. So why can't the Democrats find somebody like that? Why do they gotta always find the most, I don't know, farthest example from an American that they can find and try to throw that person up there? Like, you know, okay, let's say Hillary Clinton. Come on. Nobody like a Hillary Clinton. You know? Nobody. Nobody. Even Billy don't like a Hillary Clinton. Come on. Like you gonna pretend like make this big old media storm around Hillary Clinton when everybody know what the Clintons were all about, right? Everybody know. And then now we're trying to put up the Michelle Obama. He don't want to be no president. Michelle Obama, come on. So that's basically going to create another dynasty, the Obama dynasty, which was part of the Clinton dynasty. Because you have a Clinton, then you got Obama, and Hillary was there with Obama, and then they tried to run a Hillary, and then they put a Biden in there, and Biden was in there. So it's like that was like the Clinton clan, so to speak, right? Are you guys seeing how this country be running? You think you're voting every 4 to 8 years for some new incoming fresh blood president, but they're all part of the same family or the same clan, or ties to that same family, or ties to that same clan. The only one that was different, that was outside of it all, was Reagan and this Henry have there now. But he didn't keep his word of draining that there swamp. He may have drained it a little bit in the beginning, drained it a lot actually, but then he filled it right up with, I think, he marched in a worse fellows than that he drained it from. So I don't know. And now he's trying to throw all this 24 karat gold all over the place, and he's draining that swamp so much that he damn near gonna tear it down and build up a condo complex right there on the White House front lawn, for rent, for lease. You come play president for a weekend, for lease, for the Trump seat, White House for lease. It's for sale. And we all see it. We really do. I know we really all see this. And then that's the thing. The Democrats is hoping he mess up so bad that we have no choice but to vote for them. It's like that story go, the lesser two evils, right? We all know that's all this system is like, well, them guys are so bad. I can't jump on board with that. So these guys are bad, but not nearly as bad. So do I just not vote, or do I vote for the lesser here, or two evils, or I just ride in somebody that I think maybe is just as a statement and use my vote as a message, and hopefully, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. And we have no in the words of Miss Ocasio-Cortez, unity amongst the proletariat, that we say, listen, you guys, this whole thing we see is not working correctly, right? It's not working correctly. It's not working like they promised, like it should have been working. Something broke. There's something broke. And they keep pretending that it isn't. And nobody's saying there's something broke here, y'all. And something, draining the swamp sounded good, but I think it was just a tagline marketing ploy. And it seemed to get worse. I don't know. And those poor fellas out there in that there Middle East on that ship, and they're pretending like it's everything okay. Oh, we're going to send out somebody to inspect it. And they said it's okay. Morale is good. All the bathrooms are working and everything. The showers are working. Everything's good. Don't believe what you hear. Don't believe what your son and your daughters are telling you. Don't believe what the mama up there on the TV saying that she heard about the supplies and the situation there on those ships. All those poor people, And that's the thing, right? Everybody knows what's going on. And they know that if a ship out there for 1 year, it's going to become an unhospitable environment, right? Period. Everybody know that. But we all pretend like, oh, it's okay. Or we know. But the people on the news, they don't know. Or they playing dumb. Or I don't know, But why can't they just say, hey, yeah, we got to get those people home? Like, why can't somebody in this administration say, this has gone on long enough. Let's get these guys home and give them a bonus when they get off that damn ship of, 20 grand each, or 30 grand, or 100 grand. Those there, and they should damn near get $1 million. They come off that ship, right? How many are on an aircraft carrier? How much would that be, right? Maybe there's, 1,000 people on an aircraft carrier. Give them each $1 million, right? That's $1 billion. I think this country can afford $1 billion. For each of those, give $1 million to each of those sailors on that aircraft carrier for their trouble, for their worry, for their stress, for their families, for their future. How come nobody's saying that? How come none of these people here saying, well, we can give, 10 trillion over there down there to that country that, they done messed up their whole system, so we're going to bail them out. It doesn't help our economy. But if you give each of those sailors $1 million when they step off of that ship, that will help our economy, because they're going to be spending that $1 million here on this here land, buying whatever it is they buy. And then if other people see that, they'll be like, damn, they just got $1 million. That's like a lottery ticket, for going over there like that. Hell, I'll do that. Hell, I'll go jump on an aircraft carrier. That's a good bet. I'll do that. How many? They have a line out the door, right? They open an office down there in the south side of Chicago, where all those drill rappers are killing each other. And then when these sailor boys come on home, they give them each $1 million and they advertise, look, you sign up, you already a trained killer, right? You've been here killing in these south side of Chicago streets damn near freaking 5 years now. And you're only 15 years old. You've been killing since you were 10 years old. So you've been killing down there for 5 years. You're a certified killer at 15 years old. Well, we want to sign you up. Maybe to become an assassin. Maybe we need you to take out this here guy. Maybe we need you to take out that there guy. And you already know how to operate that there piece of equipment. You already know how to scope it in and shoot it. We train you up a little bit and give you a chance $1 million if you go on a deployment like that. Shit, they have a line out that door. Guarantee it. A line out the door saying, sign me up, boss. Let's go. I'm ready. But anyways, so she's talking about Charlie Kirk here, like, you know, they all were talking about, and now they got their trial for that guy coming up that killed him, and they don't know who, if it was this country or this Secret Service or this. I really didn't even know who he was until that all happened. And, you know, who knows? You know, who knows? In this country, shit, anything can go in this country. That's what people don't realize. People think, oh, yeah, we live in a democracy. Everything cool. Everything's safe. Everything like you could say what you want, do what you want, be who you want to be. And nobody gonna do anything. And but come on, people, wake up to reality. Wake up to reality, right? They can take people out in a snap of a finger if they want. They can destroy your life, like make it look like you know, were hooked into that whole Epstein Island thing, and who knows. You know, they can make a fake video that make it look like you, and you have it's crazy. It's crazy. If they want to take you out and destroy you, they can. Like, why don't people see that in this country? Why don't people think that this government and the way the system is set up has the ability, the know-how, and the motivation to do that? Whether it was a conspiracy theory or it happened the way it did happen, who knows? You know? Who knows? But obviously he ruffled some feathers, no doubt about it. And the correspondences of who he had around him are very, very interesting. But let's see what else she got to say. I think she's not done yet. Let's see what else she got to say.
On that, specifically, Republicans are saying that Democrats too often have referred to them as Nazis, dictators. Is that the kind of rhetoric that you think there should be less of, or do you think that criticism is misplaced?
I believe that if we want to stop the scourge of violence in this country, we must do our jobs and pass common sense gun safety reforms in the United States, period.
What do you think about the use of the word Nazi?
And here's what I believe. Because, to be honest, we are in an environment of escalated rhetoric, but a person who hears this rhetoric should not be able, if they have a history of domestic violence, if they have a history of descending into what seems to be, you know, a violent spiral, should not have access to a gun. And the idea that one would weaponize this environment when people are able, in some states, to get a gun who should not. This is not about taking away people's right to a firearm. This is about ensuring that we have responsible gun laws in the United States of America. And anything else is a deflection. I'm sorry, it simply is. Because we want to talk about arguing about rhetoric. I mean, you people can point the finger till the cows come home, especially in this place. But the fact of the matter is, we should not have the right. We shouldn't have an environment where people can so easily mow down others when they have a mental break, when they have a history, or whatever we may be seeing. A lot of what we've seen in this recent shooters have been emotionally disturbed and mentally disturbed people. Thank you.
Well, now she is right there. Everybody that they throw up that have been the evildoers of the assassinations have all been emotionally disturbed people. No doubt about it. And it's funny because she's saying anybody that has the capacity to spiral into a violent tendency should not have access to a weapon. Well, that's a little funny. Because I think that damn near encapsulates about 100% of this here country. I think every human being has the capacity to take on violence if they need to, period. Including here Miss Ocasio-Cortez. You know, when the rubber meet the road, and the only thing that will get something done is a little bit of violence, then I think that a little bit of violence, everybody has the ability and capacity to do a little bit of violence. So she's basically saying that nobody should have a gun because everybody have the capacity to spiral into a violent streak or violent tendency. That's a human nature, right? Human nature is, emotion and anger and love and happiness and sadness and everything else that come with it. In the way that they are triggering everybody, they're triggering everybody in this here government to be very upset, to be very confused and very stressed out. Watching, if you pay attention to the news today, you are gonna probably take about 20 years off your life due to the stress and the emotional roller coaster that those news cycles put you through, right? And they're all under the control of a couple people that are all in cahoots with, the government and those running this here government, because they want everybody to be super confused, super emotional, super upset, super suspicious, and everybody have the capacity to spiral into some type of rage at the drop of a dime. So that's what she's saying, that no American should have a gun anymore, because this here government is perpetuating the environment where anybody at any point can spiral down. So therefore, no gun for you. That's what she want to say right there. And anything else is a deflection. Right, Miss Ocasio-Cortez? Anything else is a deflection. So, I don't know. I think one of the things, a big takeaway is you really need to listen to what they're saying, right? And half the time, they don't even know themselves. They're just touting their party line, but that party line has been so refined and so psychologically tested and used and debated as to the wording, the best words, the best time. And look at the date of this here little interview, September 11th of 2025, right? It had to be September 11th, right? 9/11. That's the date of this here Miss Ocasio-Cortez's interview. So that right there, you see that one date, that automatically you picture 9/11 in your head, and you picture terrorism, and you picture, oh, America been attacked. So already it's emotionally triggering. Just the date they're putting on the TV. And then AOC herself is an emotional trigger, right? She a pretty woman. So a lot of men are confused because, hey, this here's a pretty woman up on my TV. But what she's saying is very confusing. But I'm attracted to her because she's a pretty woman. So I'm listening, but I'm confused. That's how they do it, right? That's how they do it. They get you emotionally confused so you don't know what to think. You don't know which way to go. And when you don't know what to think or which way to go, they put their thoughts right into your head. And next thing you know, when you're talking to your friend, you're basically repeating word for word what they said. I don't know. It's a funny thing to watch. You know, I don't know if anybody else sees something like this, but I notice it all the time, everywhere. And it's a funny thing because a human nature is a very funny thing when it comes down to it. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Anywho, so that's Mrs. Ocasio-Cortez and what she have to say about old Charlie Kirk. And I just think the Democrats need to come up with a better plan. They need to figure something out and get somebody in there that stand for something. That's what I think. Or just scrap their whole thing altogether and rebuild it, right? Rebuild it like they did on the Republican side around the gentlemen they got in there now. So that's how I see it. And that's how it is for me. And so I thank y'all for watching. Stay safe, stay free, and by golly, don't believe everything you see. It's a Boston Cowboy here. Adios.